Welcome everybody once again to the Quantum Cafe and the Interstellar Lounge with your host here, the Cosmic Messenger, aka Derek Pennett, Lightbody technician, Reiki master teacher, and Metaphysical activator. What a wild time it is on planet Earth, and I'm glad that you've teleported here to this interdimensional transmission hub where we cover all of the different subjects about multidimensional living, fifth dimensional experiences, and the realms of metaphysical happenings, from the spiritual plane all the way down to the physical temporal plane, and how these things play out in our day-to-day lives. If you're new to my channel, I cover a wide variety of topics. There is nothing that is off limits in terms of how wild the experiences can be, from beings who levitate to experiencing teleportation or getting downloads from the galactic central sun, right? Merkaba spin repatterning, Lightbody, ascension, awakenings, and self-awareness. Nothing is off limits. So it's a pleasure to be here with everyone today. Hope everybody's enjoying the lead up going into the summer solstice as well too. That's one of the 4 cardinal points on Mother Earth right now at this point in time. And these are big energetic happenings, right? The summer solstice one is a great one for celebrating the vessel that we inhabit right now and bringing in that alignment and coming into direct contact with being, offering that self-love, appreciating what the biosuit, this human vessel, this avatar can do in this incarnation, and as well as all of the experiences that it can have as well too. It's time to put that in and look back on that previous period right until the previous summer solstice, right? Because we get an incredible amount of light encoded intelligence coming in through the sun's rays at this time, all solar year round, right? We have that happen, but at this point in time, it is in the summertime, you get such elevated frequencies in that department, right? And carries deep wisdoms. Pluto's also moved back into Capricorn. Pluto is recently moved into Aquarius, which is an incredibly long journey to get to that point as well too. The last time that occurred was I think it was around the late 1700s. So these are big adventures, as it takes a really long time to go around. So expect massive paradigm shifting to occur, and then Capricorn being the one that wants to slowly climb to the top of the mountain, right? Using the discipline and the routine to make sure that every piece of the puzzle was inserted perfectly. So you can go back and have a replay, right? As well too. So it's a pleasure to be here with everyone. I got a great and wonderful topic today. So we're going to speak about the various ways that spiritual downloads, transmission, insights, and wisdoms enter the human energetic fields. Now, we've all heard the term, or if we haven't, this will be new for you, but a lot of the beings in the metaphysical realms have heard the term spiritual downloads, right? You'll watch a being on a video, hear some people talk, maybe you attended a live metaphysical event, and they speak about how I just got some spiritual downloads, or I got some downloads the other day, right? So that's one of the most common phrases that you will hear. So I'm going to go through all of them and kind of describe the different ways that they come into our energetic field. But when people say spiritual downloads, that's receiving that information coming from source, right? Entering the human field, and then it's an inner knowing, and then it's translated and shared into the world. But these happen in so many different ways, right? There's lots of different methods to which this occurs. So I want to cover a whole bunch of them and give you some ideas, because maybe in your multiverse, perhaps you've had them and you didn't even realize that that's where they were coming from, okay? No different if you're building a house or you're making a painting and all of a sudden you get this flash of an idea happen. You pulled back from your painting for a few days and you're waiting around. You're like, I don't know what to do next with it. And then that insight comes and then you work with it, right? Those are the same kind of zones that we're talking about here today. Okay. So the first one that I wanted to talk about is telepathy. Telepathic communication, our third eye, right? Which is also known as an antenna as well too. So telepathic communication is the ability and the methods to also receive information or have communication happen through nonverbal speak. And that nonverbal speak does not mean that we do not say words inside of our mind's eye. It means that how I'm communicating with you right now through the vocal range, right, that you can hear as tones, they don't come out like that. There's no words that are spoken. You're going inside of yourself, right? And you're feeling that wave of energy, and then you receive information through your mind, right? It's like an instant, telepathic communication is instantaneous, right? There's no delay between that happening. So the realms of outside of speaking and then it entering through you. And now you're doing this with another being, right? Or a group of beings, right? And it doesn't always mean that they're necessarily on the physical plane. When the human experience upgrades to its next stages of evolution and go past, so we go to the 5th dimension and we work towards Gaia in the 7th dimension, that is also going to play a huge role in how much telepathic communication we experience here in our incarnational experiences, right? So one of the ways is telepathy. That information comes through, right? And some of that information is also, these spiritual downloads are you. You are sharing them because they're coming through you, the vessel that's connected to Prime Creator. I've said this before. It is there, Prime Creator, Great Spirit, and you are it. And it's a co-creation happening all the time. We are all pieces of Prime Creator. So then you have that telepathic communication, but you can also send your own wisdoms. Just spiritual downloads are not necessarily always about getting, higher intelligence from other entities or star nations that live on other planets, right? Or the spirit realm. You are also that innate intelligence that brings in its own photonic transmissions as well too. Okay, the next one is uploads and downloads. I got downloads of spiritual information, just like a computer, right? These information packets come down and enter into our field as well too, and they get downloaded. Do you get some beings, some people, humanoids, they get streams of information and they can type for hours or write it down in a journal, and out comes books, informational processes, right? When we say spiritual downloads, particularly I do want to say that this stuff is very much about wisdom, insights, self-awareness, for growth, equilibrium, and full spectrum healing, right? The different ways that we work through the ascension process and how to communicate with our subtle bodies, right? Our energy fields, and how to heal various ailments, and then working through the distortions in our fields. So that's what it speaks to, is like the nature of the energetics of the cosmos is primarily a lot of the topics that you will hear about. Some beings get matrix busting information as well too, right? There's no set pathway to where it's going to go, but it generally ends up in the metaphysical, spiritual realms as well too. So downloaded information, right? Where did the download come from? It could come from a wide variety of sources, right? It could be from transdimensionals. You could be receiving these downloads from communication with transmissions from the galactic central sun, right? It could be with our own sun, which is a living entity. You could get downloads from the collective shift that's happened recently, or possibly new grid work that has entered Earth, and these templates have been overlaid, right? And they bring in information. Because light is information, and it carries all of the light codes inside of itself. So you can download it from various places as well, right? Also your Akashic records, the cosmic internet of you and every living being. So you go into that field, you enter the super library, the ultra library of everything, and then you start to pull out information as you are asking questions and requesting info to be brought into your field. Now, the next one I was talking about was uploads. So as you gain wisdom, as you I've memorized all these things and I just know them so well and I can feel them in my core. And however you chose to get there, you upload information into the Akashic records, which on Earth, AI right now and all that stuff is calling it the cloud. But the cosmic cloud, the cosmic internet, is much more larger, much more expansive, and the information cannot be manipulated or deleted for its original universal law codex. So you get that wisdom and then you upload it, right? Willingly and subconsciously and unknowingly, consciously and unconsciously. There are other beings receiving that information as well too, right? And then you and your soul group send information up, and that gets available so that it can come and find, say, myself or other beings who are like, thanks for that information that you uploaded. Now I'm able to go access it because we figured out a solution to a question we were asking, right? And then I ask, well, how is X, Y, and Z done? And then I receive the information. Came from the cosmos, came from Great Spirit, came from transdimensionals, which you are one too, right? So it's pretty neat stuff. So it's a co-creation and a dance of doing both as well too. And so then we have these thought packets, right? I have sometimes I have communications with the Arcturian High Council, which is one of many, right? Being Arcturian and Spica heritage in my star lineages, it was about less than a year ago I started to receive information from the Arcturian High Council. So I was putting down all these, series of information that came through. But it wasn't like I'm just hearing it in my head and I write it down, which can occur for people. In my case, these were thought packets of information. And then we were uploading and we were downloading together simultaneously, because you can intermix a lot of what I'm mentioning today. So we put it into the field, intermixed with it. They gave me a thought packet. I added my own thought packet. And then because I was super aligned, right? Just in that cosmic moment, the higher my vibration was, the stronger the download was. But they came when they came and could not stop the process, and it was amazing. And I had asked for this through this incarnation for this to occur on a soul level. So the information and the thought packets came, and then I was taking them all, and then all of a sudden they would rewire themselves and come out written down on the piece of paper. So I was wondering, well, I got in there and played with it and moved with it too, and they were like, but you've been on the council before. So we're working together, right? Because you are lenses for the spirit realm and other star nations to view through the 3D temporal plane on Earth, right? We're all sharing this together. So these thought packets can come in different waves. And just because you get a small phrase of a thought packet and another person gets 16 pages of downloads, there's no judgment there. They're all equal, right? You can have 16 pages of totally awesome material, and you can have ultra fantastical, amazing one sentence. They both carry incredibly beautiful, profound weight as well too. So other ways to download as well too. You can get information sent from various high councils that beings are working with. Arcturian High Council we hear about, Law of One, Galactics, or Galactic Federation of Worlds. There's different versions of it. Sometimes you get into contact with another being and they present to you their name, who they're working with, why they're working with you. And you guys had predetermined before you incarnated into this vessel that you were going to have some sort of an experience where you'd be exchanging information, right? Other times it happens through our spirit guides as well too, right? We all have spirit guides that are with us at birth. And once we go through the ascension process, have a big awakening, start that process, then our guides switch to new master guides, right? So that they can continue to work with whatever level we're at. And so our spirit guides are regularly sending us information, as well as our higher self, right? The energetic, subtle body The full completed you, your future self, undistorted, shares information with us on a regular basis. When you get that insight and you're like, yeah, that's what I need to do next. Cool, that's awesome. We always associate that with just coming from our mind. And that's it. It's a physical mind experience. But that's not the case. It can happen, but a lot of the times it comes from our higher self, which is resonating very close to our body, right? A couple feet off the body. And it's there vibrating with us, sending us information and wisdom. It is you, you are it. See how it's all connected like a fractal? It's pretty incredible. So your higher self is also relaying information as well too, right? When people, even the basic one, right? The easiest way to tap in, when people go and they pray, and they're asking for something to occur, that's putting that question out into the universe, right? Setting that intention and making that alignment to bring that forth as well too. And then also you have inner knowing and your inner feelings as well too, right? So this inner knowing, this sense of just automatically feeling it right in the moment without having to question it, without needing words. And sometimes you have a feeling and then all of a sudden in your mind you see a sentence or a series of words play out, right? Or that inner feeling turns into visualizations, right? Some people don't necessarily get the words coming through that they write down. They get it through visualizations, seeing the movie running through your mind and getting visuals, sometimes animating, sometimes not. And it can be a series of, we'll say, photographs of the mind, right? Intergalactic messages that come and show us imagery. It's like when we communicate with wildlife or our familiars in our homes, right? Our furry, fuzzy friends that we love so much. Well, some of them aren't always furry, right? But the creatures that we have in our being, the animal spirit kingdom, when we communicate with them and send them, we say to ourselves in our mind's eye, and then we send it out into the field, a visual. You're talking to your cat, let's say, is the easiest one to describe. And they eventually pick up on the vibrations of our words. But there's a large portion of those words that they don't comprehend in the way that we comprehend it. They feel it through vibration. But if you send them a visual of what you're wanting them to do, work with you, or even sending them love, like you just holding the heart symbol, right, with your hands, and then beaming that towards them. Or maybe they have an itchy spot that they can't reach, right? Or their nails scratching it up. Then you can go in there and send that visual of you like assisting to scratch their neck for them. And then they come over and they respond. It may not happen the first few times you do it, but keep at it, right? It's a different way of communicating interdimensionally as well too. And I talked about the galactic central sun as well too, which is bringing in information from planetary bodies, luminaries in the sky that are alive, that are keeping us functioning, that are allowing the biological life to evolve, right? I get downloads regularly from the galactic central sun, right? The core source of all of the 12th dimensional templates and beyond that we work with, okay? Which includes the photon band, because light is information, and the photon band happens in the age of Aquarius and the age of Leo on Earth. When we go through that vortex, then all the light that isn't seen becomes visible. And that's known as the photonic light that remembers every pass that we've had for a stellar ascension process. And other beings also get downloads of information, uploads, receive transmissions due to either being on a sacred site and they have a natural ability as a grid worker, okay? So that can also activate those coming through into you, as well as when you hold crystals. And then power days are also great days to receive extra amounts of information, because we can get them any day of the year. The thing is, if you want to amplify the experience, go to a sacred site. Hold a powerful fifth dimensional crystal. Or find a power day, like the 1111 portal in November, or Lionsgate 8/8, or on an eclipse, right? Or some sort of space weather transmissions, astrological alignments to go through with that as well too. And then there's also the 5 clairs. So beings receive information or create this information through their extrasensory perceptions and abilities. 5 clairs, there's even more, but the main ones are your clairvoyant, right? Claircognizant, so third eye, crown. Clairaudient, you receive it through auditory tones, right? Auditory experiences. And then you have clairscent, which you get it through smell, and clairsentience, feeling and touching, and plus our hands, right? Which are great receivers of information. Hence, you can put your hand on a tree, and if you're patient enough and wait, you can receive downloads as well too. So you have these 5 clairs as well too running through the field. And then I was talking earlier about the third eye antenna, which is an amazing device. Our pineal gland is an amazing transmission, and it's how we receive a lot of our information after it gets transferred through the subtle bodies. And all of this stuff that we're talking about comes through the astral plane, right? Through the 4th dimension, originating, starting from the 6th. That's the realm of light, frequencies, sound, and sacred geometry. And then it gets translated into the 4th, and then comes through the 3rd eye and links with the antenna. And what happens when you put up an antenna? What does it receive? Let's talk on a very physical level. Well, it receives radio transmissions, television broadcast signals, right? Wi-Fi, all that stuff. It brings in those signals. Now, also when we're dealing with an antenna, we want to remember, are these signals for our highest good? Do they have distortions with them? Or are we receiving quality information? Because we can get all the downloads we want. It doesn't mean they're always pure. 99.5% of the time, these spiritual downloads come from an authentic place. But once in a while, there's invasive information that can come in. And we want to make sure that we are cleansed, gone through this full spectrum healing process, and that our aura is radiant and robust, so that there's no blockages, leakages happening that's kind of shuffling and muffling this information as it comes through, right? It's just something to be aware of. It's not frequent that it occurs, but it can go through the negative frequency distortions on occasion, right? But all this stuff comes from the astral plane. You line yourself to source, and away you go. It's pretty awesome stuff, okay? Now another one, the last one I wanted to save for the day, because there's so many ways that we receive information on a consistent basis. Sometimes it's even just from another human. Conversation, talking out loud, right? Wow, that was an amazing piece of information. That's still just as important as any other method that we use to bring in the transmissions, okay? The spiritual downloads. Last one I wanted to talk about was channeling, okay? Now, channeling, recent times, has gotten a little bit of a rap as being, channeling occurs when another entity comes and takes over your body, and maybe even can possibly damage your DNA in the process, and has some benefits, but a lot of drawbacks. So I want to clear the air about this a little bit more, because I recently purchased Quantum Quattro, which is a crystal, an obelisk form, and one of its abilities is, if you're holding it while channeling, the entity can't fully take over your body and get in with your energy field to the level that it's like taking over the reins. You still get to communicate with them and work with it that way. Okay, so channeling. I think channeling's amazing. Right now, all this information's coming through me, and I'm channeling it to you. When I work with my clients, conducting universal life force energy for some of the energy treatments I do, I'm channeling energy through my hands, through my feet, through my being and my aura. So we channel anyways on a consistent, regular basis, right? Now, the idea that a negative entity comes and takes over your body and gets in there to the point where you're tiring yourself out and the transmissions are going on for 16 hours a day and you're not taking care of your full spectrum healing of yourself, well, then we got some sort of an issue here, right? There's 3 beings that I know that are very high quality, superstar seed transmissions that have brought incredible wisdoms, okay, on planet Earth, which is Cryon, Lee Carroll, Barbara Marciniak, the Pleiadians. She wrote 4 books as well too. Cryon is a whole series, and they're both still channeling today, and as well as Seth Speaks from Jane Roberts. So these beings, as they're channeling, and possibly there's some language out there that's an insights that's saying maybe this is hard on the human biofield. Maybe it is, perhaps. But during these transmissions, they're showing you how to heal how to rewire your DNA and how to upgrade, right? Now, sometimes you can channel. Well, how do we know that that being that they're channeling isn't also just co-creating the process, right? Not taking over the body, but just getting in there and working its transmissions through another vessel. How do we know it's not part of their oversoul? And if it is part of your oversoul or a soul group, but especially your oversoul, then you are channeling a version of yourself, which is very interesting. I think we have so much more to learn in this realm. We are just getting started. This is like introductory 101 metaphysics, right? But channeling is not this super scary, wild experience. It's just another method to bring in amazing information as well, too. And the work and the groundwork that these three beings put forth into the human energy field onto the planet Earth is absolutely incredible. And I am so grateful for all of that information that they've received as well, too, and that I've received because of those transmissions. I'm grateful for the experience, right? So I think it's a matter of like refinement, keeping things elevated, working through the vortex, and knowing that if we come to a cosmic whole, we can bring in those frequencies, right? And transmit them in ways that our soul will tell us, is this going to be a good transmission? Is this going to be a channeling that's going to be a little bit more difficult on the human biological form as well too, right? And from what I've seen, these beings are having, vibrant, beautiful lives as well too. So it's something to put out there as well too. And channeling doesn't always necessarily mean that the being is taking over the body as well too, right? But it's also your own personal choice, right? And if you're comfortable during the experience and enjoying it completely, and you feel that you're vibrant, whole, and healthy, regardless, you still have the free will to do that, to do those actions as well too, right? So like anything that we do, there's high vibrational channeling, there's high vibrational downloads, right? There's high vibrational telepathic communication and info from the galactic central sun. And then there's low vibrational, distortion, devious, manipulation. As long as that stuff is, moved away from the field and you set yourself up in a super high quality space, and you're not overwhelming the human body, then why not? Because these books have been transformative for the metaphysical communities on Earth and leading us towards those paths of ascension, right? So that concludes another wonderful episode of the Quantum Cafe and Interstellar Lounge. At the end of the video, I will make sure to put in my link if anybody wants to access any of my energetic healing services, transformational packages. I got metaphysical music, I call it Spiritronica, energy encoded artwork, and just so much, like cosmic blogs. I mean, really, it's my tagline is called Unlocking Your Multiverse, right? So want to create that whole entire universe to have something there for everybody, because different beings respond in different ways and gravitate towards different full spectrum healing tools as well. Yeah, Quantum Quattro, as I was mentioning earlier, what an amazing crystal. Not only can it protect you while you're doing channeling, but you can isolate physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual bodies, any one of them or groups of them, and then you can work with just that body on the fly while you're doing energy treatments or sitting with the crystal doing your own radical self-care as well too, okay? So my final message is, if you're having any form of spiritual downloads, open up your field, open up your mind to the possibilities that the multidimensional vortex, this portal, is a lot more larger, infinite, and expansive than we can ever imagine, okay? And that we're receiving transmissions from all over the field, from animal spirit guides to the trees, to the light in the skies, to broadcasts on screens. It's coming from all over the place. And knowing that if we stay open to that, we will always be connected in. And if you're having a difficult or a challenging time at the beginning, really getting the downloads going, just slowly ask for them to come in, because it's a long-term refinement to get to those places of super alignment. And no two ways of downloading are better or worse than any other way unless an invasive species has taken over your energy field, okay? And you don't want them there, and it's distorted. Have a wonderful day, everyone. We'll be back soon.